On a pure rugby front, what's it like this week preparing for what is always a testing place to go, Limerick?
Yeah, really tough. Boys are in good fettle because we had a lot of preparation time the week before, which was good. Obviously, we were waiting to see whether we got any players back from Wales, and we all know the answer to that. So actually, we've been quite seamless in that. And yeah, we'll go with what we've got, of course. And I know other countries have released people back. Obviously, we've had dialogue with Wales. That's not happening. So yeah, we'll go and do what we need to do with what we've got.
Had you been expecting to have people?
Not really. I think you've got a plan for going with what you've got anyway. So it doesn't change too much in relation to preparation, but from a resource point of view, it's always helpful and also to be fair for the boys that are coming back, that haven't played or got much, then it keeps them ticking over game time wise, because if they don't play at all through the Six Nations window or any international window, they're coming into some very important games for us. So Welsh derbies and Europe comes around the corner for us. So we're just mindful that we need to keep people ticking over and playing if they're not getting exposure at the weekend. So there's an individual element to it as well as just having greater resources.
You said before that the period up until the end of January was the toughest you've known. So has the couple of weeks away from match day actually been just what you needed as a group?
I think so, yeah. We had a down week straight after it, and the pressure valve as people went off, and some got some sun and some basically just went home and collapsed and did what they needed to do. I'm obviously talking about myself now. But no, from that point of view, reintegrate yourself into normal society, because that treadmill was pretty brutal. So, but it was good because obviously we got on the right side of quite a lot of it, which was good. But yeah, now we're getting ready and raring to go again.
Lastly for me, I mean, it's a period now where you start to look up at the table and see how possible it is to get into those playoffs, and I guess with that ambition, a game like this weekend is pretty important.
Yeah, no, 100%. So that's having as much quality to choose from and as much preparation time, and all those things are important. We know that going to Munster is a very, very tough thing to do, especially on a Friday night. But we've been into Ireland on a Friday night before and done okay. So we'll see how we go.
Cheers, thanks a lot, Toby.
Cheers, Simon.
Toby, how frustrating is it for you, having worked so hard, taking the Ospreys quite far forward, to be met by this uncertainty and possible budget reductions, squad size slashed? How frustrating is all that for you as a coach?
I think you probably know the answer to that, Mark, without me actually answering it. But yeah, well, it's certainly not what I signed up for sure. I think that the whole landscape when we started to where it is now is somewhat different. I can only commend the players and the staff to where we've got to, in spite of those, the difficulties. And let's be clear about it, a lot of it is uncontrollable, right? From a performance point of view. I heard you speaking to Brad as I got the end of your questions with him. Yeah, of course it's going to affect, but it's always there. But I also think that players, certainly the players, I can only comment for my lot, is they've had a massive, and the results back this up, they've had a massive ability to be resilient and put it to the back of their mind, because the effort and the consistency that they showed, especially in Block 2, for us was massive. So yeah, it's certainly not it's not as much on a weekly basis. It's pretty tough, but also from across the piece, this is sort of like my third season to where we are, and things to be progress and our ability to go to, we're at that critical point where we want to kick on, and hopefully we can still do that, but it's becoming more and more difficult for sure.
How much do you feel for the players then?
Oh, massively so. I mean, it's not just players, there's staff involved with this as well, right?
Sure.
And the big thing is, if we've all been in different positions in our lives, and I've been in it previously, and and are in it again, is the nothing detracts more than a lack of security, for sure. uncertainty provides so many distractions and so much anxiety that you wouldn't be human if it didn't affect you. And that's a very, very tough challenge for sure. And very tough as a leader, right? To sit at the top of that and try and negotiate that for sure.
Sure, yeah. And just changing track a little bit with some of the players who are sidelined by injuries. How are those guys progressing? I'm thinking Dewi Lake, Owen Watkin, Dan Lydiate.
Are you asking around that or just generally?
No, well, yeah, no. On the injury front, how's Dewi? When are you expecting Dewi back? And
so Dewi's he's doing pretty well. He's got a little time to go, but he's the initial side being a young pup. He heals quickly, so that's good. He's showing some progress. Dan Lydiate's very close to getting back. Steve Myers obviously came back last week. Gareth Anscombe's reports have been good, so he's going well, but not obviously back in training quite yet. Owen Watkin is back available for the first week this week. Have I missed anybody that you asked me about?
Have you got a date for Dewi?
No, not yet. No.
But it'd be good to see Owen back.
Yeah, Owen back. Sam Parry was the other one. I knew there was one more. So Sam Parry is he's narrowly missed out, but he's getting close and he's out there running around at the moment. So getting those boys back would be great. Yeah,
and be good to see Owen back. Experience centre there in midfield.
Yeah, leadership, experience. Him, he's been very visible this week, even though he's just come back, which has been great. And the group can take a lot of encouragement from that. Him, Nicky Smith, Michael Collins, to name but three, have been very visible in what they've done this week and in the last couple of weeks. So that's a really positive thing for us. And as you say, when you've got a lot of disruption in the group, having some consistency and some leadership and some seniority certainly helps.
Tiernan Thomas Wheeler did well for you last time out?
Yeah, Tier did really well for us. So it was good to see him out there, and he's keeps putting his hand up, which is good in training, and obviously wants to go well. So yeah, that's encouraging. Harry Deeves, I thought, did well. Morgan Morris is, we're talking about him like he's a 150 capper, but he's been around for a long time. But his levels of performance have been very, very good.
Brilliant, thanks Toby. Thanks very much.
No problem.
Toby, when are you at a contract, Toby?
I've got 2 seasons more after this one.
So you at least have a little bit of security, but like the players, did you have to take a pay cut as well?
I'm not going to talk about individual. I think it's unfair to ask that, but I understand why you ask it, and it's not that I'm confirming or denying that situation, but I'm mindful of, we've got a number of staff on fixed contracts, for example, that fall into the same bracket. If you don't know what your budgets are, you don't know what the contract status are, you don't know where we are, it's very difficult for your organisation to move forward. And whatever the situation we find ourselves in, we'll be able to plan a way forward, whatever that looks like. And at the moment, it's not just. There's a lot of uncertainty kicking around. Agreements aren't in place in order to offer contracts. Contracts haven't been agreed. There's so much work that still needs to be done, and we're at the business end of the season, and we've got a lot of stuff that needs to be done.
Apologies, I didn't mean to pry.
No, that's fine.
But it's interesting that the players obviously didn't want to take pay cuts, but they took them graciously, and now they're hearing this financial disaster story again.
Well, I think it applies to everyone, right? So reading into that, whatever happens applies to everyone in the organisation. So from that point of view, the way forward to be different. All of a sudden, we had a contract model that was X, and now it's Y, and there's natural changes in that. But all of a sudden, you've got to pick up different bills. You get different situations that occur. There's lots of devil in the detail, but you end up in a stalemate or in a stagnant position when there's no traction forward, and that's very difficult.
The one point I wanted to ask you was in that story they talked about players being on antidepressants. Is that something you recognise?
No, certainly not. Not from as far as I know. We have a mental health element to what we do here. We have someone appointed to that. We've obviously got very attuned medical staff. We take wellness questionnaires on a daily basis to assess where we are, to provide flags in order for people that can be supported in their own way. Which I don't think is uncommon, if I'm honest. It's not just us, but we have mechanisms in place. But often with a lot of this stuff, the stigma attached to it, the situation outweighs the ability to be open and up front. There's been massive moving forward in recent times about being visible around mental health, and it manifests itself in different ways. And yeah, I'm certainly aware of players that have got had mental health issues that we've had to deal with, and I can't appoint them to X or Y. But it's not just a one-off. It's an ongoing thing that you have to be aware of and try and put support in place for.
I was just wondering whether antidepressants would get through drug testing.
Yeah, I would have thought so. The right people will know if that is the thing. I'm not in that possession of that, as I'm not directly involved with the medical side.
Players don't want to strike, but if they felt like there was no other option to, would they have the support of you as a regional head coach to do so, given the impact it would clearly have on not playing games, etc.?
I don't think my opinion is actually relevant in it per se. I support, obviously, as you can imagine, the position of the Ospreys, because I'm in charge of the Ospreys on the field, and the players are absolutely my focus in relation to getting a performance, and I'll support them the best that I can, and if they feel that they have to make a stand, they'll make a stand, and I understand that completely.
And we spend a lot of the time talking about the problems in Welsh rugby. You've got experience of structures in England, obviously. This could be a very long answer, but if you could sort of wave your magic wand or point at one thing that could improve the situation and the strength of the game down here, what would it be? What sort of changes would you like to see?
I think there has to be greater joined up thinking between all parties, all stakeholders. I include players in that. Players, coaches, regions, governing bodies, the whole thing needs to be all joined up, and we keep looking backwards for answers, and the answers are not behind us, they're in front of us. So we've got the one thing that we have to change before we get into the detail is the attitude is we have to change now, because it's got to a breaking point where I know Brad talked about 12 months ago it was this and then it was this, but at some point the definition of insanity means surely that we've got to a point where we have to realise that what's been gone on before has not worked, or not working well enough, and it's the time to change and all get on board with that. Whether that's feasible, maybe that's just my blue sky thinking and my optimism, but I think there's a lot of cynicism, a lot of scar tissue, and that makes things very difficult.
Wondering how tough this is for the backroom staff. Obviously we hear a lot about players and the predicament they're facing, but of course there are a lot of people behind the scenes at the 4 regions who are uncertain about their future as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. The same scenario applies to them, right? They've still got families, they've still got mortgages to pay, they've still got uncertainty around their workplace and their employment. So yeah, no, absolutely. It's not just a problem for players. Obviously, they get the stuff right at the centre of it because they're more visible. I understand that completely. But no, this doesn't just stop at players. It goes into performance staff. It goes into people cutting their cloth accordingly on in all aspects of your business, marketing, commercial, media, the lot.
And having coached in England, how much more of a challenging or unstable environment is it here in Wales from your point of view, from where you're sitting?
Considerable. Yeah, considerable. I knew that there would be certain things that I was told about in relation to maybe the politics and the bits and pieces that I was willing to sort of investigate and thought that I can get past and would find a way and be, we have to be adaptable and open and all those things that I just talked about. And I think that we as an organisation, or certainly myself, is certainly open to that. But there's so many unknowns. There's so many different agendas and alignment and governance and bits and pieces. Makes it a brutal minefield to try and get through, for sure.
If you had your time again, do you take the job?
Of course I would. Of course I would. Look, I came here because I thought I could do the job that was asked of me, i.e. turn a struggling team around and make it competitive, produce players, and you've heard me say this a lot, and forgive me if I'm repeating myself, produce players that were homegrown for the region and for Wales, and have the work ethic of the people that sit around it and supporters. And I think on the whole we've made a lot of progress in that area. If you look at just Rhys Davies, for example, at the weekend, there's another one that's come all the way through and got his first cap. So look, I think we've been able to certainly make a lot of progress in that, and that's with the backing of our owners and bits and pieces but yeah, I certainly think there's a much easier way to get everybody moving in that direction more consistently and probably quicker.
Toby, can I just check one thing? You mentioned Lydia and Sam Parry. Are they likely to be back for the Benetton game?
We're hoping so, yeah. That's
the target. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Toby, were you shocked by Justin Tipperick's omission from the Wales team?
Was I shocked by it? In fact, I'm hesitating, probably says yes that I'm not shocked by it. But I think a new coach is always going to rotate a lot of players to see where they are and what he needs. So I think that it'll be interesting what happens next. I think will be around everybody's players, not just Justin Tipperick, but he's been one of the form players for us. Played exceptionally well, led exceptionally well. So I'm sure that Warren's got a plan of what he wants to do, and a number of players will fall into that and a number of players won't. So look, we know what Justin's done for us, and we also know what Justin's capable of, and we'll see whether that's what Warren wants in his selection. So from our point of view, we'll put a support around him. I've spoken to him. He understands that being in and out is part of being a rugby player, and he'll just worry about what he has to do next.